Okay. So we have, we continue Torah Samech Beis 62. And we said that when a Jew eats with proper emunah, that brings about a wonderful spiritual tikkun. It's called Yechud Kudsha Brichu and Shchintei. Yechud Kudsha Brichu and Shchintei. The Yechud of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Shechina. You can ask, what is it? What is the Kadosh Baruch Hu? What is the Shechina? I mean, they're supposedly one and the same. It's true. But Kadosh Baruch Hu, Kudsha Brichu, is the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu beyond this world. And Shchintei is the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu becomes evident in this world, where you can see him. The greater the unification between Kudsha Brichu and the Shechina, the more evident and obvious Kadosh Baruch Hu becomes in this world. So Rabbeinu says that when a Jew eats, we're talking about Shabbos meals or Yom Tov or whatever, just regular breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever. He does with a proper emunah, he brings about this tikkun of Yechud Kudsha Brichu Shchintei.
He says breakfast and things like that.
Just by the eating, yeah, of course, that's part of the eating. That's part of the eating. When he eats with emunah, with a proper emunah, that brings about that yichud. Not only that, but this unification, they're different madregas. So the eating, a proper eating, emunah-filled eating of a Jew, that brings about that tikkun on the highest level. It's called panim bepanim, face to face. It's like when you see a person face to face, you see your friend face to face, you see him, you recognize him, but you also recognize where he's at emotionally, he's happy or this or that. Mashenken, if you see him from the back, if you see your friend from the back, sometimes you can recognize him, but if you don't see his face, you can't tell any details. No. So we said that proper eating can bring about Yechud Kudsha Brichu Shchintei on the highest level, face to face. Rabbeinu says, in order to reach this kind of emunah, a person has to go through a tikkun of das. Das. There are two kinds of dases, as it were. There is a das upon which it is said, da mashetosher lepikaris, you should know what to answer a heretic. And we said that's not necessarily giving answers. Oh man, that's not necessarily giving answers to but the main heresy that needs an answer is the heresy which is inside a person's heart. And the Rebbe says, even if a person doesn't have kashas on the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but it's not evident to him, the Moshe would like the bottle removed a little bit to the side. So when it's not evident to a person, because Baruch is listening to him and is standing on him. So if a person would have known that with a complete heart, he would daven with tremendous excitement. He'd be very, very careful with every single word that he says. So commensurately with how HaKadosh Baruch Hu is hidden, the omnipresence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is hidden from a person, the davening becomes, all right. I mean, you know, you're davening for, you believe HaKadosh Baruch Hu is listening to you, everything is fine. But it's not the same kind of immediacy as when you're speaking to a friend. Speaking to a friend, I mean, you pay attention to what you're saying, right? In fact, you don't even have to pay attention to the fact. I mean, the fact that you are aware that your friend is listening to you, even on the phone, they're listening to you. You don't have to, artificially think, now he's here, he's listening to me, is this, is that. It's a partial thing for you, right? It's a simple thing. Oh man, it means that when a person hasn't finished his job with Yetzer Hara, the person's heart, the Yetzer Tov, Yetzer Hara, and they are fighting for supremacy. And the person is supposed to defeat the Yetzer Hara until the Yetzer Hara becomes subservient to the Yetzer Tov. When a person does that, it's called that a person has created a peace in his heart. There's no longer a war between the two sides. That process of subduing the Yetzer Hara is done through two things. First of all, is whatever Yetzer Hara tells you to do, you say, thank you very much for your advice, but I didn't ask your advice. No thank you. But that still doesn't fix, it doesn't fix at the root, doesn't fix the problem at the root. The things that fixes at the root and makes peace, makes shalom between them, is when a person learns halacha. Person learns halacha, Sifrei Poskim. In other words, he goes through the process. First of all, each one according to his level. Some people, for them, is learning Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. It's wonderful. Some people can learn Shmiras Shabbat Kilchosa. It's Gewalt. Or learning Mishnah Berurah. It's wonderful. But if you can do more, it's a mitzvah to do more. Ultimately, you need to polish and sharpen your mind to anything that HaKadosh Baruch Hu made possible for you to understand. That means if you can learn Gemara, you learn Mishnah, you learn Mishnah. You learn Gemara, you learn the Gemara. You can learn Rashi, you learn Rashi. You can learn Tosfos, you learn Tosfos. If you can learn Rif, you learn Rif. If you can learn the Rosh, you learn the Rosh. You can learn the Rishonim, you learn the Achronim. Whatever it is that you can, until you reach the point that you know what the halacha is. That already prepares your mind and gives it, the Torah on such a level that you can give answers to any questions about why HaKadosh Baruch Hu does things in this world the way he does. But that's only when you learn halacha, you learn poskim, your Yetzer Hara becomes subdued, you reached shalom. We said that kind of das that you're supposed to sharpen your mind is called v'da ma shetoshiv lapikaris.
Find out what Coach Bolton, certain things that happen.
If you know the entire Torah, you know why he does that. If you know the whole Torah is an answer to everything that the Kodesh Baruch Hu does in the world. Does and did in the world. Because we don't know the entire Torah, so certain things we don't understand. But somebody who knows the whole Torah, everything that Kodesh Baruch Hu does in the world, the conduct of Kodesh Baruch Hu in the world, you can find an answer. An answer? Why?
Why certain things happen.
Yeah. Now, the less a person knows, the more he reaches the threshold where you can't ask questions anymore. Because it's beyond your pay grade. It goes right over your head. You don't have the kalim to give the answer. There you have to rely on emunah. Every person, according to how much he has sharpened the axe of his mind, he has fulfilled the first part of v'da ma shetoshiv lapikaris, and he should know what to answer a heretic. Then you're making peace in your own heart and Yetzer Tov, Yetzer Hara. That's why v'da ma shetoshiv lapikaris, there's a tevis, is shalom. It's shalom in your heart. So this is how there's only kashas that you don't have teretz. This is what you need to not look into it and just rely on emunah. That's it. Now, we said that we learned that through limud poskin, a person zeicha to know Kadosh Baruch Hu with a complete heart, with a full heart. That he knows kashas, he knows the answers to all the questions which are answerable. You can't answer anything about Kadosh Baruch Hu himself. That is, per definition, beyond answer.
Meaning answerable at the level of
What?
you mean answer at the level of the mind, because there's stuff beyond that.
Yeah, no, but what we're saying is that we're making a very clear definition. Anything that has to do with the Kadosh Baruch Hu's conduct, if your knowledge of Torah is sufficient, you can know why Kadosh Baruch Hu did that. But anything that has to do with Kadosh Baruch Hu, quote unquote, himself, as it were, there's no, it's not knowable by us, but at all. We cannot understand.
Ask who you are.
It does, so even him, he says, because I like you, because I love you, especially, you're going to see me from behind. You're not from behind. So it's a certain aspect of, yeah, my which means it's a p'chinas hastar, and even this had to be, because a person cannot be alive and know me. A person cannot, see me and remain alive. Because the neshama is so huge. Yeah, every person is a shama. Each person is a shama is so huge that it only touches the body. Only touches the body. If the neshama were to be more evident to the body, to a person's gashmius, the person would pass away immediately.
Some of it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Most of the neshama, it's only the very, very bottom tip of the neshama that actually touches the body, and that already is so tiring that a person needs to go to sleep every single day, because the interaction between the neshama and the body is so effort consuming that a person tires. If the neshama would have entered the body more, the two would be separated. Then it would die. The person would die. There has to be a certain separation every single day for the body to recuperate. The body is not just the body, it's also the nefesh and the ruach. That's exactly right. That's what we say. What happens by sleep? A person's neshama goes up, right? But his nefesh and his ruach remain. What they do? They're recuperating. They are renewing.
So in that context, probably a bad dream.
Bad dreams is already, I mean, the meaning of dreams is when a person's, according to what a person does during the day, that's the kind of dreams that he has at night. So it's most dreams is, they show a person what he was thinking about during the day. I think, Rabbi Yeshua ben Hanania, I think it's Yeshua ben Hanania that the emperor asked him, if you know so much, tell me, what am I going to dream tonight? So he told him, you're going to dream that the people will revolt against you and they'll torture you, and you dream that they're killing you and they're tearing you to pieces. The next day, he said that's what he dreamt about. He painted such a dark picture for him. It was so shocking that's what he dreamt at night. But there are really two kinds of visions, even in a dream. B'derech klal, a vision is called a mare, a sight. You see, because Baruch Hu showed himself to the forefathers. Pashas Va'era, right? I showed myself to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. It tells Moshe Rabbeinu, I showed myself to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. But, in Kel Shada, only that name. But Shmi Hashem, the real name of Yudke Vavke, I didn't show them. Right, that's already a level of married. Now there is a lower level of dreams, and this is done, through the Malach Gavriel. Now, the way that the person was during the day, a person is drawing upon himself a ruach that is commensurate with how he passes day. If a person draws upon himself chas v'chalila, a ruach of tumah, at night the klipos fool around with him, and they bring him to all kinds of problems. But if a person was mekadosh himself, then he sees dreams from the good side. We should know that sometimes when a person, Rabbeinu says in Likutey Moharan, sometimes when a person does, really works hard in Kedusha, dafka then something impure can happen to him. Yeah. He was working, he was davening, he's this, whatever, learning, whatever it is beyond, he reached a new level of Kedusha. It can happen that dafka then something impure would happen to him. Rabbeinu says that should not be a problem. That should not be a question for you.
Doing all these holy things.
Yeah, and he will have something impure will happen to him. Rabbeinu says you should know that it is so because we don't understand what these impurity means. And Rabbeinu says if an impurity happens to a person at night, will only be a bad thing. Rabbeinu says Chazal would not say that it's a good siman for a choila, a sick person.
Yeah.
If he's a Valkyrie,
Yeah.
a good siman for him.
Good siman.
Yeah.
He's healthy.
Yeah. So Rabbeinu says you cannot always judge. I mean, if a person it comes from machshava, person thought bad thoughts, and it happens to him, that means that's mamish. This is where it needs the tikkun. But if a person did the best that he could, and this is what happened to him, he says you just say tikkun haklal, you go to the mikveh, and it'll be fine. Don't worry about it, because there is an Indian that sometimes it comes dafka because of a good thing, and Rabbeinu says, how is it possible? You see that Chazal said for a choila. Yeah, something impure can happen to him. And he's after good simon.
Yeah, but they say if a person can become a Valkyrie at night, if his thoughts are during the day.
That's different things. That the person is a Valkyrie that comes because of impure thoughts. That's where the kill. This is the real pagam. But if a person didn't do that, if a person was, he did. He was learning. And that happened to him. It can sometimes happen with the tzar of the kedusha as well. You need to do the tikkun, so tikkun haklali, go to mikvahs, tikkun haklali, whatever it is. Don't worry about it. How can it be? Rabbeinu says, Araya, Chazal said, if it would have been all bad and there was no possibility of being good, Chazal wouldn't say that it's a good siman for a choila. Adkan. When it says the main now, okay, a person has a muna, you learn poiskim, gavalt, okay? You're able to purify the foodstuffs from the klipos. It's pure, it's clean, everything is fine. But the thing is, the emuna has to be stronger. The way the emuna becomes stronger is when you are able to be mekarev rechoikim. Rechoikim. Yep. Even the goyim should come to Emunas Israel. We said, what's the difference between, the goyim believe, right? Some goyim believe. So what's the difference between the emunah of the goyim and Emunas Israel? The goyim believe that Hashem created the world, that there is Hashem, and He created the world, and He's the boss. He's the boss. He's the boss. But what does it mean that He's the boss? Nothing is clear for that. Emunas Israel means what the Rambam says. When the 13 Ikorim, main emunas of the Rambam, belief in Hashem is not one of them. That the Rambam makes is obvious. That's not an emuna that is unique to a Jew. Believing that Hashem exists is not unique to a Jew. The Rambam, the 13 Ikorim of the Rambam, is emunas that are uniquely Jewish. Yeah. But what does the Rambam says?
But by Judaism, it's not the
It's an obvious. It's like a duh question. It's not uniquely Jewish. What is uniquely Jewish is that you believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu levado, HaKadosh Baruch Hu alone. Also, He did. Also, He does, and will do. V'yasa l'chol ha'maisim, everything that he's done, Kadosh Baruch Hu does everything. He did everything, he does everything, and he will do everything.
Also, there's also different.
Huh?
It said will do, but will it be to redo it as is or to change?
Everything that happens
It's controlled
is done by Hashem. Not just controlled by Hashem, it's done by him.
the person.
Hu levadoi osa oise v'yasa l'chol ha'masim. To live, to believe that, and to live with that, that is a uniquely Jewish belief. And the idea is to bring the goyim to that as well. And so now the Rebbe says, okay, so how do you do that? He says, in order to complete the emunah, in other words, to be mekar b'choikim, first of all, you have to elevate the sparks of the letter of speech from amongst the klippas. What happens is as follows. What is a nitzitz? What is a spark? It means a fragment of godliness. Now, when the world was created, the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world is that the primordial kalim, the vessels, HaKadosh Baruch Hu shone his light into them, and they shattered. And the shards, the sparks, I mean, the kalim were made of godliness. They were godliness. The shards, the pieces, the sparks fell to the klipos. Klipos means hastara, means hiding the obviousness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the klipos. It goes down, 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 all the way to Tumah. Any kind of hastara is called a klipa. You take an orange. You want to eat an orange. How do you get to the orange? You have to take off the klipa, right? Same thing. Now, the thing is that these sparks of holiness that fell into the klipos, they're the things that give the klipos the power to exist. As long as the holy spark, everything was created with letters, right? Because Baruch Hu created everything with Oisas Adibur, the letters of his speech. When the nitzotzes of the letters of Kadosh Baruch Hu's speech are still there, it means that the battery, as it were, is charged. The klipa still has juice. They can exist. But the minute that the person elevates the sparks of Kedusha, the sparks of the Oises Adibur that fell into that klipa, the klipa is, that's it. It's finished. Because it doesn't have a life source anymore. So in order to bring the Rechokim, you have to elevate first the sparks of the Oises of the Dibur. Now, when this is done, when the letters of the divine speech have been purified, then the Dibur itself turns around and is facing the klipos. And it actually picks out the sparks of holiness from the klipos. First of all, a person needs to elevate the sparks of the letters of the Dibur. So the Dibur is clean. It's the way it's supposed to be. And when the dibur is proper, it's clean, it's purified, the dibur itself is turning itself towards the klippas and picks out the sparks of holiness from the klippas. Then the klippas remain lifeless. And then the akum, the nations of the world, that their livelihood is from the klippas. That's how they exist. When they see that they have no chayas, they have no taste in life. There's no. Then they throw away their false beliefs. He says, "Bayom ha'u yashlich ha'odom es elilei kaspoi ves elilei zavoi." And that day, a person will cast away the idols of silver and his idols of gold. Now, there are two ways to understand that. One, of course, is the idols that he made out of silver and gold. That's the material where the idol is made of. And the second way of understanding, they're both right. The second way of understanding is that the silver and the gold themselves are his idols. The silver and the gold, those are his idols. Money itself is his idol. Yeah, money, richness, wealth is his idol.
He's more sophisticated to worship himself.
There you go. I don't know what the gold and silver is there, however. Yeah, well, I guess it's a prerequisite for a politician to do that, no? That's what I said, Lo said Lavo, in that day, a person who should cast away his idols of gold and his idols of silver and his idols of gold, and they stick themselves and they connect themselves to Emunus Israel. This is what it says, then I will turn over to the nations, Stofa Berura, a clear speech, a speech that was purified. Safa Berura means a dibur that was already purified between them. That dibur himself now is facing the nations in order to pick out the sparks of holiness from them. Then is the skayim likra kulam b'shem Hashem. Then it comes about that everybody is calling out in the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, the important thing for us to understand about this, first thing that's negate to us is, besides obviously eating properly, besides learning poskim, each one to the extent that he can, dibur. We need to purify, to elevate the sparks of the letters of the dibur. And this is done by Shmir Saloshin. That's point number one. Sur Merah.
Against
Lashon Hara, Oinos Dvarim. All the different kind of problems. Yeah. All the different things, whatever it is. First of all, is Sur Merah. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
And the second thing is Asa Toiv. Yizboinus. Speak to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Speak to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It happens frequently when a person feels, I'll take it to the kollel if you want. Okay, whatever you want. If you don't want this, the Avrechim over there will eat it.
Kids leave it back.
Okay, there you go. It's fine.
I don't know what's in here.
All right, no problem. Anyhow, speak to him. Speak to him. Speak to him. Especially, not more than that, but especially a person needs to be very diligent in doing this, speaking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when a person does something bad. Because the intuitive way is, to shy away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because I did something bad. What did Adam Rishon do after he ate from Etz Hadas? HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and he calls. Where's Adam Rishon? He hides. That's a natural inclination. That's the natural. Yeah. It's the thing that person needs to do is the opposite. Go to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and speak to him. I have a friend that told me, well, this will finish. They told me that he used to give shiurim in jail. Jail? Yeah, prisons. And the prisoners and the authorities in the jail, the correction facilities, whatever you want to call it, Department of Correction, whatever, they were very much for it, because prisoners that became close to Yiddishkeit are much better behaved, much better behaved. Yeah. I mean, they're much more manageable. All the other ones are just animals. They're stupid animals. But those who come close to Yiddishkeit, so he said that there was a person who comes from a very known Arab crime family. An Arab crime family. His father is a Muslim and his mother is Jewish. So it's not such a rare thing, by the way. It's not a rare thing. And Yad La'achem is taking care of that. Anyhow, one of this guy, for the Muslim, he's a Muslim. For the Jews, he's a Jew. He's a Jewish mother and a Muslim father.
Muslim father and Jewish mother.
Yeah. So with the Muslims, he's a Muslim. And for the Jews, he's a Jew. So he became close. And he started coming to his shiurim. And he told him, look, there's one thing I cannot stop doing. I want to keep Shabbos, but I can't stop smoking on Shabbos. So my friend told me, listen, Shabbos is not my property. I cannot give you a hectare to Shabbos. I cannot give you a shoes. I cannot give you permission. But this I can tell you. If you happen to smoke a cigarette on Shabbos, at least don't put it out. Like they do on Yom Tov, Just put the filter down, carefully. Don't put it out. When he saw him the next week on Sunday, the guy says, you don't know what you did to me. He says, what did I do to you? He says, after the first time he put it down, he could not light another cigarette. He already did something for Shabbos. He couldn't bring himself to light up another cigarette. No, he himself. He smoked a cigarette, and then he put the cigarette down. Not to be Mechal Shabbos. In order not to be a Mechal Shabbos. He just put a cigarette down without putting it out. And he said he couldn't light up another cigarette that Shabbos. Yeah, then once he already did a Shmir Shabbos, he couldn't light another cigarette. Yeah. Listen, Hashem should help us. We gotta run. Kol Tov, B'ezrat Hashem, good Shabbos to everyone. And B'ezrat Hashem, what's a Shabbos? We have the shindig of Sichos Haran and Tzipur B'Hashem, all that kind of good stuff. Kol Tov, good Shabbos.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.